Hello and welcome to The Cosmic Nomad. I'm your host, Bailey Rushlow, and this is a space for the curious and the heart-led, where we explore the human experience through travel, nature, spirituality, and real-life transformation through beautiful conversations. As I discover my way of living what I call an inspired life, I share the practices, stories, and perspectives that have helped guide me back to myself. In today's episode, we're going to talk about what it really means to become your own home. Not just in theory, but in practices. Exploring the difference between loneliness and aloneness, and the liberation that comes with no longer waiting to be chosen. Thank you so much for joining me. Hi, coming at you live from a very cute little town outside of London. Until this point, you've been listening to me record these episodes from my home in Mexico, my little casita. And now we've taken the Cosmic Nomad on the road. And I think that is so exciting because that really is the spirit of the Cosmic Nomad, is that I can be where my feet are. I don't have to just be in one place. And I love that. It is a bright and sunny day here. Absolutely beautiful, perfect weather. The days are really long. Like the sun is finally down and the sky is finally getting dark around like 10:30. And the sun is up and birds are chirping by like 4:30. So really short nights, really long days. But it is mid-June, so that's to be expected. We just had the summer solstice, the longest day of the year last week. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful time. Everyone is a little bit happier here. And I'm house sitting this beautiful home and really, really cute dog. And every time I take him for a walk into town, he makes everyone that he runs into smile. And it makes me smile because they're smiling. And I love it. Get ready for today's episode, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're walking your dog, making everyone smile in town. Maybe you're just at home, chilling, relaxing. Whatever it is, let's just align our energies together by taking a deep breath. Inhale with me, hold it at the top of the breath, and exhale slowly. Let's do it. We're going to start today's episode off with a little bit of a metaphor. I want you to just visualize this journey with me. Imagine what it would look like in your own mind. So imagine that there's a girl trapped in a tower, just like the fairy tales. She's been told since birth that someday someone would come and rescue her. A prince, a savior, somebody that just would choose her fully. She waits, she prays, she dreams, she looks out the window every day. And time goes by. People pass, but nobody stops. Until one stormy evening, many years later, the wind is howling and the lightning strikes, and she stumbles over something hidden beneath the floorboards. A small rusted key. Her heart starts to race. She turns it over in her hands as her hands begin to tremble. And she tries it in the door. And it fits. And she realizes that the door was never locked from the outside. She had the key all along, but no one ever told her to look within. This metaphor might feel like one you've seen before, Rapunzel, a lot of Disney princess movies, of being programmed to believe that one day our worth will be confirmed by someone else's arrival. We see it in our fairy tales. We see it in religion. Without the prince coming for you, you will stay in that tower forever. We're fed this idea that the fulfillment that we wish for is not something we can give ourselves. It's something outside of us. It's something far away from us. It's something that we have to wait long enough for. And in the meantime, be good enough, holy enough, pretty enough, deserving enough for someone to come along and finally make us feel whole. All right? But the truth is that the longer we stay in that castle, the longer we stay in that tower or in that waiting room, we are just disconnecting from our own power. This energy taught us how to chase and not how to choose. And the cost of that is that we lost our ability to be with ourselves in a deeply nourishing way. It's also not saying that love from others is not beautiful and necessary. Like it is. We are created as relational beings. We are meant to love and be loved. But when we live in a constant state of longing, it's like we've been taught to outsource our wholeness, and you are the longest relationship you will ever have. And returning to yourself again and again, it's sacred. And the more that we remember that, the less that we need someone else to come and save us. I also find it deeply fascinating that the Abrahamic religions shape nearly 2/3 of the world's population. And from a very young age, many of us are taught to outsource our worth, especially in these religious systems where we are taught that there is a God outside of us. I've touched on this before. I think episode 4, we did a deep dive into this, but I'm just bringing it full circle again because it's so important. We're taught that there's a God outside of us that is watching us, that is judging us, that's deciding if we are worthy of love or salvation based on our actions, based on our performance, based on how we show up. We're told that if we are good enough, obedient enough, selfless enough, we might be chosen, we might be saved, we might be loved. But not now, not as we are, not in this body, not with these desires, not with these doubts and questions. In this belief system, whether we were raised in it or simply influenced by it, it colonized way more than just land. It colonized the mind and our nervous system and our sense of self. And it planted the seed that someone else has the final say over your life and that authority lives outside of you and autonomy is not real or it's selfish. And then you're judged for being selfish when you choose to be the voice of authority in your life and you stop outsourcing it, then you're judged for that. It's like you're judged no matter what you do, right? And this kind of programming, it doesn't just affect your spirituality. It affects your relationships and your sense of purpose and your ability to trust yourself, your ability to choose yourself, to believe that joy and pleasure and love and autonomy is not something that you have to earn. You don't need permission to come home to yourself. When I speak about religion in this way, I am also speaking from a personal perspective. I am not just coming at this from a uninformed, misinformed, misguided perspective of judgment. I'm coming at it from a healed perspective of having believed in this way for over 20 years of my life. It was the blueprint I was given for life. It was the fundamental lens through which I saw the world well into my 20s. And so what I see from this is that it has created an epidemic of disconnection. And it shows up in very curious ways, like people who do not trust themselves, because we're always looking to gurus, leaders, priests, pastors, partners, systems, etc., to tell us what is true, because we weren't taught how to trust ourselves. We were given a book with all the answers. We weren't allowed to be curious. Curiosity was stamped out of us at a young age. And even if you weren't religious, you still experienced this in different ways. Maybe through your school system, maybe through peer pressure, maybe through society, maybe through movies and media, right? You still experienced not trusting yourself in some capacity and looking outside of yourself for answers. And I also see this culture of people pleasing and perfectionism that's so deeply rooted in the fear of being unworthy or unlovable as we are. I've also noticed this epidemic of burnout because we have been taught to perform for love and to just sacrifice ourselves in the name of keeping other people happy and keeping the dysfunction alive in our world in different capacities. Maybe that's in your job, in your relationships, in your families, etc. Our relationships are built on dependency, codependency, not interdependence and autonomy and sovereignty, because we search for someone to complete us. Our bodies that do so much for us, our first homes, they've been abandoned because we were told they were sinful and shameful rather than sacred and intelligent. And there's this widespread fear of emotion, desire, intuition, these things that make us human. We have this innate distrust of them. The programming trains us to believe that our truth is dangerous, that our love must be earned, that our sovereignty is rebellion. And I don't think the antidote is just looking further and continuing to seek this external validation, or looking for love, or looking for the voice that's going to tell you the right thing to do outside of yourself. It is reconnection to the body, to the truth, to our inner voice. And knowing that we were never even separate to begin with. We simply were given a program, just like a computer program. We were literally given one as children. And we watch that play out in our lives. We watch that guide us. And we wonder, why do I keep doing the same thing? Why do I keep ending up in these relationships? Why do I keep ending up in the same patterns? Why do I keep creating this destruction for myself? I'm speaking from personal experience here. And when we can ask these questions and look deeper within, without judgment, just curiosity, we begin the descent down the spiral into ourselves, observing our inner landscape. Have you ever noticed that so much of our culture in the spiritual world, in the religious mindset, in the New Age spirituality, it's obsessed with the ascension. It's obsessed with, well, in the afterlife, this is what's going to happen, or I'm going to get to heaven, or I'm going to transcend the body and I'm going to end up in the fifth dimension, right? It's like so much of this talk is all saying the same thing. It's it's surpassing, it's bypassing this experience, this body, this voice, this process, rather than being in it and descending into it. It's trying to just get to the other side, get to the end of the journey where there's peace, or there's heaven, or there's a savior waiting for us. And then we will feel this sense of completion. If we can just transcend all this, then we'll get to that. And I find that so sad, because I spent a lot of my life like that. And this information can be packaged and repackaged over and over again in different ways, with different words, with different vocabulary, with different people saying it, because I used to believe this way in Christianity, where I was like hardcore into how many people can I get to believe in God? How many people can I convert? You know, one day I will be in heaven. That was the plan. And then I deconstructed all of that, and then I found New Age movement and spirituality, which made so much sense to me because it touches on so many real things. But it's also just a repackaged, repurposed version of what I came from already. It took me a long time to see that. It's interesting how these belief systems wear different costumes, but the core narrative is the same. You must transcend yourself to become worthy. And I think what's worse is that salvation is sold as something that you earn through purity and performance and perfection. And whether it's sin or shame in the religious sense, or it's like low vibration, or you're not manifesting right in the spiritual New Age sense, it is still just spiritual capitalism dressing up as truth. And the tragedy of it, to me, is that literally bypassing our self, our body, our connection, this reality, this moment, this experience, this human time that we're alive, this spiritual bypassing has kept us disconnected from what is real. Like the breath in our lungs and the soil beneath our feet and the cyclical wisdom of our bodies and the sacredness of being right here, right now. And I think that's the whole point of what we're doing, is to come home to ourselves, to be able to see through all the different perspectives that the world tries to give us, the culture and religion and all these things try to force us to look through these different lenses. And we're able to take them all off and just be here. And I think the heaven that we're all searching for in some way, the connection, it's found in participation with life, in presence, in pleasure. It's not something you have to earn or that you have to find your way to. A big one for me that I am still deconstructing, still comes up for me, is that when I am useful, then I will be loved. My value so often in life has come from being needed, not necessarily from being known. I have been the caretaker of my siblings, of parents, of friends, emotionally, deeply, being the one who was there for others, who kept the peace. And, I didn't know it at the time, but I was learning a pattern that love is something you earn. It's something you perform for. And if you stop performing, it might disappear. You might be alone. You might be without love. You might be separated from love. Which really makes you look closely at why we believe we can be separated from love. So back to the main point. For so many of us, especially if we have been raised on those fairy tales or religion or codependent family systems, there is a subconscious belief that someone will eventually come and rescue us from the discomfort, from the void, from that hard thing, from the decision. But the truth is, no one is coming to save us. No one is coming to save you. No one was coming to save me. And weirdly enough, I'm really grateful for that because when we internalize that, we stop outsourcing, we stop waiting to be chosen and fixed and healed and validated by somebody or something else. And I'm not talking about hyper independence. I'm talking about this sense of inner sovereignty, inner authority, inner autonomy. And we've used these words a lot the last 20 minutes, but I love planting them in the vocabulary because I want you to take them with you, you know? There was a moment in my life a few years ago when I had to make one of the hardest decisions of my life. A choice that meant walking away from something familiar, something that had shaped me, because I knew that staying would mean abandoning myself. It was like a quiet revolution in my soul that said, no more denying my truth to keep the peace of this situation. No more shrinking to make others comfortable. No more shape-shifting to keep the dysfunction alive. And choosing myself in that moment changed everything. Literally everything. And it was not easy. It came with so much grief and so much uncertainty and deep waves of self-doubt. But it also came with my freedom. Because for the first time, I was not waiting for someone else to come save me. And I realized that I really had been the one I was waiting for all along. And I realize this a little bit cryptic, but the details don't really matter right now of the story. Plus, it's not entirely my story to tell. There were many people involved, and I can only share the truth from my perspective when all of their perspectives are also important. So maybe there will be a time and place someday where it can be shared. But for now, just believe me when I say that I'm speaking from experience in this. And my life has not been the same since. There's a term called self-sourcing, which essentially means being the place that you can come home to. Not because you have to do everything alone, but because you know the difference between needing support and outsourcing your power. You know the difference between validating your emotions instead of shaming them. You know the difference between asking, what do I need right now? And actually listening versus bypassing it and distracting yourself. You know how to notice a trigger and stay with yourself through that trigger. That is self-sourcing. And I remember hearing that for the first time and going, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't like that because I don't want to just be lonely. It sounds really lonely. I would like to have at least some support, like some people in my corner, you know, and of course we do. Like I said in the beginning, we are relational beings. We're created for relationship. We're created to be able to connect and console and be empathetic with and create beautiful dynamics that bring life to each other. And that is different than what we're talking about. We're talking about being alone is the state of being with yourself. Loneliness is the ache of disconnection, not just from yourself, but also from others, right? And we can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely. We can also be in solitude and feel deeply connected and even joyful. Building belonging from within means that you have made your body a place that you want to be. There is no need to distract because you've cultivated presence and play and self-trust and acceptance, and you recognize your inner voice without running from it. After that big decision and everything that happened in my world that was really, really challenging that I just referenced, I went to Mexico. And I was alone for the first time in my life. Like alone. Like I didn't know anyone. I didn't even speak the same language, right? I had no friends. I knew no one there. I went to a place where no one knew me, so I could meet myself. And of course I did meet people, and I did go on adventures, and I did have fun. I did actually meet my current partner of 5 years this year that we've been together. We met on that journey of my solo exploration of myself and rediscovering my voice for what felt like the first time. And I'm so grateful for that time in my aloneness, because I found the rituals that guided me back to myself, which is a huge part of what this podcast has been about. It gave me the space to discover things that were important to me outside of the dysfunctional world that I had just emerged from. It gave me the ability to hear my voice, to trust my voice, to listen to my intuition, to become more connected to my cyclical nature as a woman, as a person, as a human. And in this journey of learning how to self-source, it doesn't mean that you never ask for help. It doesn't mean that you're doing life without connection. When we source from ourselves, we enter relationships with more capacity, with more clarity. So, yeah, I just extend the question to you. What parts of you are you still outsourcing to someone else? Some questions that I have asked myself are, where do I still crave being chosen? And by whom? What part of me feels unworthy unless someone else mirrors it back to me? Ooh. Where am I outsourcing my creativity? Where am I outsourcing my intuition? If you feel personally triggered by any of these questions, please realize that I'm asking them from my own experience. I literally outsource my intuition a lot. I outsource my creativity a lot. I look for validation in all kinds of places. If this is triggering you, amazing, because it's showing you something in you that is resonating and that goes, oof, maybe that's true for me too. Maybe if it's true for Bailey, maybe it's true for me, right? In no part of this am I pointing a finger at you being like, you need to fix this about yourself. I'm sharing how this is for me. There have been so many times that I have waited for someone else to make it okay for me to be who I am. Whether that was a parent or partner, even my audience. Where in your life are you still waiting to be saved or affirmed or given permission? And what would happen and what would shift if you gave it to yourself, you need to be witnessed and loved and remembered by the person who knows you best, which is you. And if you think, oh, that's not really true for me, that's not me, I don't know me best, then maybe this is an invitation to get to know yourself in a way that you would like someone else to know you. Because you are the one you've been waiting for. You are that person locked in the tower that's not actually locked in the tower. You're just there, stumbling across the key, trembling fingers, seeing if it will work in the door. And to your surprise and excitement, the door unlocks and you realize it was me all along. I've been waiting for something outside of me that most likely would never come, because there was never anything to be waiting for but yourself. As we return to our home, to our body, to the voice of our soul, to our inner landscape with curiosity instead of shame, instead of fear, we become interested in our health out of love, not out of desperation of trying to fix what's wrong, but out of curiosity for the information our body is giving us about what it's processing, what we're moving through. We feel our emotions with wonder. When we get triggered by something or jealous of someone, or some old wound comes up and we react in a certain way, it is an invitation to us to observe with grace, with intrigue, with interest. Why did I respond like that? Why did I react that way? What's going on a deeper level? Instead of with judgment and harassment and punishment that we weren't enough, that we didn't act right, that we didn't respond right, that we didn't feel. No, we don't do that anymore. We don't have to. We never had to, but so often we were trained that our safety is within this construct of how we behave and how well we act for everyone else's benefit. How well you can abandon yourself. How well you can quiet your own voice and your own intuition to the benefit of others around you. Whether that's the system, whether that's your family, whether that's friends, partners, lovers, kids, etc. There comes a point when enough is just enough. And when we truly look at ourselves and our heart and our bodies, and we say, I don't want to play the game like this anymore. I just want to come home. I'm tired. I'm going to come home to myself. I'm going to be that person that I always needed. Not out of performance, not out of trying to prove something, simply out of being here now. So I leave you today with this closing statement. Mantras that you can take with you through your day, through your days, through your life. I am the one I've been waiting for. I return to myself again and again. I am home. I am not waiting. I am choosing. I am becoming. Someone told me once that if you need help visualizing the person that you're becoming, Imagine who you would have felt safe with as a child. Who are they? How do they act? How is their energy? Because most likely there's someone grounded, oriented to peace. They easily communicate things in a way that makes sense. They have a connection to their body, to their voice, to their truth, to their stories, in a way that made you as a kid, or would have made you as a kid, feel safe in your own voice, in your own stories, in your own sovereignty. Maybe that sparks a mental image for you, not of someone you have to go out and now try to become, simply as a return to you. Who are you? Thanks for joining me in this journey. I hope some piece of today's talk impacts you, something you can take with you, something you can share with someone else that can maybe impact them. Let's create a whole ripple effect of just returning people to themselves, right? Breaking out of the system and coming home. Because they would not try so hard at every turn to disconnect you if there wasn't something really powerful about you being connected. Really intentional about you speaking from your soul. Because that's where the real power is. And it's yours for the taking. It's yours for the embodying. It's yours for the living, so enjoy it. There is nowhere else to be but right here, right now. Thank you for joining me today from my little room in sunny England. Wishing you all of the love and the joy in your world today. I hope you have moments of synchronicities that you could not have anticipated or expected. Things that just knock your socks off. Money that just shows up in your account. People that just bless you with stuff that you could not have anticipated. Opportunities for you to bless people in a way that feels so aligned and so natural to your state of being that you get excited about when you get to do it again. If you enjoyed this episode and you have been enjoying my podcast, thank you so much. And if you want to go deeper, I would highly recommend you checking out my Patreon, where I've been recording monthly meditations, behind the scenes photos of my life and adventures, stuff that I'm not sharing on Instagram or anywhere else. And it's a great opportunity for us to collaborate, to make it possible for me to be able to continue creating and recording and sharing my thoughts and insights and stories from my life in this capacity. So if you're interested in that, the link is down below in the show notes. I wish you a wonderful day. I send you off with so much love and empowerment to choose you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today, for listening, for sharing this space. And if today's episode spoke to something in you, please feel free to share it with a friend who you think would also resonate, and or leave a review. It helps more than you know. I'll be back next Tuesday with another episode, and until then, open heart, open mind, stay curious.